Welcome to Marsha's Plate. This is an interview episode where we talk to friends, family, other community members, and anybody else we want to talk to. Hey brother, hey brother, hey sister, hey sister, hey sibling, how are you? Hey brother, hey brother, hey sister, hey sister, hey sibling, how are you? Hey, how you been doing? Just checking in today.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your girl Diamond. I've been wanting you. Like, I had you on the show before, but it was you. You were one of a part of the cohort when we went to Hawaii, and so I had you paired up with the amazing Marnina, and we talked about tons of stuff. So I've been wanting to have you on the show by yourself. I just really haven't had time, and you get what I'm saying? Now we finally got our schedules together where we can do it together. And so I've been wanting you on the show. So I wanted to introduce everybody to the beautiful, dope ass Elle Halo. She is an activist out of Milwaukee. She does so many dope ass stuff, but in general, she's an LGBT health equity advocate and educator. And now she's a student at the Los Angeles Film School, right? And so she's out here trying to do her thing. She is young, up and coming activist, and I wanted to kind of share her with y'all. Welcome, Elle.
Thank you. Oh my God. I love you. Thank you, Diamond. You are mother. And just thank you for, passing down the legacy of BTEC and Empower Her to me, of letting me co-host the retreat in Hawaii. I wasn't ready. I was immature. I was going through the things. But it was a beautiful, life-changing experience, and I love my sister Marnina as well, and our other sisters that was with us there as well. And that was just the princess era of the girls to all get to, experience such beautiful environments like Hawaii, and it really was amazing. And you just have poured into me so much, and I love you and respect you. I knew about you before I ever met you, and Miss Monica specifically as advocates. I knew about y'all from y'all online platforms before BTAG, before I ever met y'all. So, you know what I mean? It definitely is full circle for me. And as the work is, and as our relationships and connections in the work are as well.
So why didn't you feel that you were ready when I brought you on? What I saw in you was that you was a self-assured, powerful black woman of trans experience, and you were just ready and ripe to be in the space. So why didn't you feel like you were ready?
Definitely like on on a surface level imposter syndrome that I think we all deal with when we get to experience new platforms, new ways of life, experience, you know what I mean, find cuisine and hotels, and you know what I mean, travels and just different experiences that for people like us that's from the hood, and for people as black people, and for people, as us as black trans women, I think, you know what I mean, those things are really transformative. And I just was going through so much, and I think that we don't shine a light enough on the mental health of black trans women, and or the mental health of our activists and our movement leaders, and how we experience burnout and different things. So, I just was going through a lot. I was younger, 3 years younger than what I am now. I'm a full year into my program. I'm getting straight A's. You know what I mean? The girl ain't been in school. It been almost close to 20 years since we was in school last. So, and I've done capacity building programs and fellowships and a lot of different classes and courses and opportunities to build up to going back to school full time. But I go to LA Film School. I'm a media communications student. My school gives a studio tech kit to each student for their online programs. And it's a full studio equipment worth of equipment. I would love to get more trans and LGBT people to specifically come to my school, especially, they're trying to dismantle the education department. They, are attacking trans people and our documentation, our credentials, our IDs. So, you know what I mean? I think it's very important time for our people to go back to school and like I said, LA Film is a queer friendly, is a arts centered arts institution. And as creatives, as trans people, as queer and trans people, that's the type of place where we belong and where we can actually thrive. And so it's been very, very good for my mental health. So I definitely would love to push that out there too for people to check out LA Film for themselves and to take that chance and go back to school too.
So I met you. I met you at BTEC. You were a patron first, right? When I first, the
Yeah.
very first day,
Mhm.
the very first time I
Mhm.
met you, and the what I loved about you is that you were unapologetically yourself. You were, and then when I interviewed you to actually come on the team, it was there is this kind of silencing of the kind of girl that you are, the kind of a girl that leans into kind of being bangy, being hood, and don't try to, you feel what I'm saying? They don't try to make it they don't try to lean into kind of the respectability politics. You feel what I'm saying? You,
Mhm.
to me, you lean into I'm a hood girl, I'm gonna have my nails, I'm gonna have my sparkle, I'm gonna be bangy.
You always say that, Diamond, and I live because as trans women, we know what that means.
Yeah.
And I think um when at the time when I first came to BTAC, that was definitely one of my first big opportunities. I got to do that and be sponsored by Diverse and Resilient, which is an organization I'm the board secretary for now. And I've been there throughout my transition. I've been there as a member in our Sheba program, which is a historic Black trans woman program here in Milwaukee. And I then became a board member, but I also did the state HIV board and went on to become the first the first trans person to be a board chair there. They went on to hire trans people on the actual DHS staff there. And we've had like almost 10 girls now be on the board there. So that is structural change. So I got to see that the things that we did, if we did them, strategically, could produce again structural change. And then I was a Black AIDS Institute ambassador. So all of those things was kind of happening and starting around that time I first went to BTAG. And like I said, I knew who you was, I knew who Miss Monica was, who some other people and advocates were as well. And it was just really amazing. And in the passing of a torch that happened between us all,
I think
it was really transformative.
I think that the reason why I was like leaning into you is because I wanted to make sure people knew that there there's value in somebody that presents in that way. And I'm
Hmm.
like, y'all, I know some people will kind of trying to on some respectability politics. They will be on some shit like they don't really represent and they don't really represent the kind of image that we want. And I was like, nah, I
Hmm.
feel like I want to show y'all that this girl has value, that
Hmm.
if you stop being fucking ignorant and look past all the stuff that she has going on, you actually see she has a brain of her own. She's smart, she's dedicated, and she'll step up to the work in a way because there's a resource in her where she lives, where just her heart and her spirit in that situation. And she can still, and we ain't gonna try to change this about her. I'm not saying that we gonna bring her in and kind of tone her down. No, we gonna let her be as bright and shine as she is, but also see the value in what the work she do. And so what I
Mhm.
love, that's what I loved about you is that I never, you stepped up to the plate. Of course, you being young, it was, there's going to be some growth moments and da 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 da. But one thing I knew that if I put some work in front
Mhm.
of you, you were going to complete it and you're going to do what you need to do to make sure that we
Mhm.
got the stuff done. So
Mhm.
I
And I
want
think I'm sorry. I think trans people is experts in that. I think we're experts in self advocacy, living in the hood, surviving in child, they call where I live, they call it the Burleigh Zoo. It's a a gang set. And so this my family home is where, um I've grown and people have seen me grow and transition into the woman that I am. And baby, I would take the hood and drop it on Hollywood if I could. And that's what they really want. And do the respectability and the toning down and have that imposter syndrome because please believe, Diamond, people call me white. People tell me all the things that they say about people who are unapologetic. For me, my mom is a minister, and a lot of it all definitely started in childhood and having my first few jobs and having arts and youth programs that really invested and poured into me as well.
let me
And
ask you this.
yeah, and
Let me
having that
ask.
long-term vision. Mhm.
So, who was, as you were growing up, who was your family unit? Who was loving
Mhm.
on little L? Like, who did you grow up around? Who was loving you in the beginning of your life?
Definitely my mom, and primarily my mom. And like I said, she's a minister. She, after I was born, I grew up watching her give her life over to Christ. I grew up seeing her speaking in tongues, knowing that we have spiritual gifts in our family, knowing that we have spiritual gifts passed down to us from the ancestors, knowing that we have spiritual gifts that God instilled specifically in us, and that could be creative, that could be an actual spiritual gift like discernment, that could be all kind of different things. And so I'm definitely very faith rooted. Some of the things that we are forced to be aware of as young queer youth about this lifestyle, about being not about being trans per se, but about a queer lifestyle, and the things and the labels and the stigma that is pushed on us. And so I made a covenant with God to protect me and to, that I was stick to the path. My mom also raised me to believe that helping people is a part of living a good life. That it's not just about money. It's not just about, um, exceptionalism or the things we are able to do, but it's very much about actually helping people. She has a church now, and so definitely my biggest advocate. We definitely don't always agree about gender binary, about womanhood, about sexuality, but definitely has always been there for me. My dad was absent. He struggled with drugs and alcohol very badly and was abusive to my mom, and she, took me away from him. I didn't really develop relationships with my siblings until we were older. Um
Are you an
and
only child with your mom?
Yes. But my mom was also a foster parent. She was a foster parent for like 8 years. So it was a big chunk of our life. She had white kids, she had black kids, she had teenagers, she had little infants, over that time. But it definitely showed me, other people's lives. And she did a lot as a single mom, a single black mom, to provide and to create a safe environment for me, knowing that I was different.
Do you have
Knowing
do you have like a coming out story with her?
um I do is tied to sexual abuse. She would ask me from the time I was very young, I guess, to explain some of my behavior or explain you know um where the queerness or the flamboyancy was coming from. I wrote her a letter and left it for her and came out about it again. Like this is all around that time where I be kind of accepted Christ into my own personal life. But really no though, like that is about abuse. That is about um things that should not have happened. But me coming out, no, because people always assumed. When I was in the sixth grade, I made a list of people who was bullying me. And this was around 9/11. That was the year of 9/11 when I was in the sixth grade. It's crazy. I just was talking about this to somebody today on Facebook as well about 9/11. But anyway, that happening when I was in the sixth grade, I was being bullied, and my mom pulled me out of the public system after the sixth grade. And I was being bullied, and I made a list about it. And they tried to say like that I was a terrorist, the exact type of shit they tried to do from now. But I wasn't doing anything at all, and I was a sixth grader. You know what I mean? I didn't have access to anything to do anything, or was even thinking like that. But it showed me how the system and how people will try to label you. You know what I mean? And even just off of the sexuality, you would rather label me a terrorist or criminalize the trans woman for defending themselves type of situations than to address the real issue, which was the bullying and harassment. You
Mm.
know? And so anyway, that was just one thing that I thought about when you talk about coming out. But when I did actually start to verbally come out to people was like seventh grade. I grew up with my friends. I had the same circle of like, LGBT friends all throughout middle school and high school and into even now today.
Oh my God, I want to thank all of our new patrons this week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay, 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 yay. So, not only are you helping to sustain this particular podcast, I also donate to other podcasts, I donate to other organizations. I have my finger on the pulse of the community. And I know a lot of grassroots organizations that are doing great work out here. So you're not only helping to sustain us, you're helping to sustain other people in a community because I put my money where my mouth is. That's just the kind of bitch I am. Community is fuck. So thank you. I really, really appreciate you. And if you have not become a patron, why have you not? You can donate as low as $1 a month. It doesn't matter. Anything helps. Please. Do I have to play Sarah McLachlan and show you puppies? Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to resort to what the white people do to get you to give them money? All righty. Anyway, thank y'all. And the Patreon and PayPal link is at the bottom. Back to the show.
Tell me about growing up in Milwaukee. What was the vibe like?
It was times when me and my family all lived on the same block and like we could see each other houses and walk across to each other houses. It was times when me and my mom was very, very isolated from both sides of my family. Some of that is due to queerness and like I said, her wanting to be proactive about creating a safe environment. She made sacrifices in her love life in different ways to create that safe environment for me. But I have family. Like I said, the older I kind of got and the more towards high school years, I became disconnected from my family a lot. My dad passed when I was about 19, 20. Um, and I didn't really get to see him or rekindle a relationship or build or really just build a relationship then. Um, but me and my siblings began to be in each other's lives. My sisters, my biological sisters, actually, when I was 25, they actually kind of they pushed me to transition. Like they was like, no, like bitch, you need this. You know what I mean? Like this is you. It's okay. And to have that from your family, to have my mom, even though she don't understand everything or use pronouns or whatever all the time the right way or how I would prefer, is love there, and to have her be like, yeah, change your name. If that's gonna make you happy, change your name. You know what I'm saying? If medically transitioning or doing what you have to do, if that's gonna make you happy, you know what I'm saying, then yes. And so I definitely, have had support in my family. But always was it understanding? No. And I like to say being gay or being queer or trans was definitely a big issue, but it wasn't ever our main issue. And so Milwaukee is one of the most segregated cities in the country. We have some of the highest incarceration per capita in the country. That contributes to violence because most of the men is incarcerated and dealing with trauma from the system at an extreme level. And so, I think that those things definitely defined our lives. Like I said, my mom trying to make this environment that was not um, dominated by these negative forces. And trying to provide that for other people, like I said, being a minister, being a foster parent, and just me seeing that and learning that um we struggled, you know what I mean? We struggled, you know what I mean? It's food stamps and everything but God and faith and just, trying to handle your business and doing the things that you will do, having a hustling mindset. Them things is what is always grounded me and provided for me and my mom and our family.
How did you come in contact with the broader queer community in
Mhm.
Milwaukee, and how was that transitioning coming from? Because you're talking about from 13 to 25 when
Mhm.
your family was like, "Yo, you should do this and do that." Was
Mhm.
there any queer elders in your area that you kind of gravitated towards? Tell me how that transition, how you come from, being
Mhm.
more oriented with your family into the broader queer community.
I grew up, like I said, Milwaukee, Barlazu, Sherman Park, okay. And we have a Boys and Girls Club in Sherman Park. And so me and my friends was that community for each other. Some queer kids, some alternative creative kids too. Like not everyone was queer in our little, clicker group, but enough of us was the main ones was queer. The Beyonces was queer. But and just, being there for each other. I was definitely very sheltered. In the way, like I said, of what my mom tried to create for me. But my best gay male friend, I do look at him like he's my gay dad. And so, them specifically, but I'll say like when I was like 16, 15, 16, 17, we would go to like the little youth club night. They would have a little bar and they'll have a little youth night. And then, the girls are gonna tip through the little youth night. And I got introduced to the LGBT Center here around then. And some other opportunities to meet people. And then I started going to Pride. Pride becomes really important later on in my life, but I went to college. I went to UW Parkside here in Wisconsin. I just went for a year. I dropped out. I was super depressed. I really thought like one, I worked my whole life to stay out of trouble and to go to school. And so dropping out was very devastating to me. But I met a lot of queer people there, and some that are very good friends and colleagues now today as well. And that was where I really kind of started connecting with other people, specifically queer, was kind of in college years. And then my actual transition, I went through a very long depression period. And then I had my girls and they was kind of all starting, you know what I mean? We all just start popping up and starting one by one. But I like to say it like this. You know that you're gay if you're able to thrive being gay or bi or you know what I mean, being queer, having a queer identity. I think us as trans people, you just don't, you can't see it for yourself. You can't see it for yourself. It's like being a ghost kind of walking through life until you get that awakening, like, oh, I can do this too. And I think for us as trans women, the stigma and the imagery of trans women, especially coming out of that time of us growing up, I think was so terrible, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean, that there's only one path and outcome for us, and that all roads lead to sex work, to criminalization, to HIV,
Or
um,
drugs.
or drugs, absolutely. And so, once I began to see other young ladies, specifically my girl Chloe, Gorgeous Gucci, Chloe Monroe, and my other girls that we started with, specifically, not seeing them, we all was going through it individually, but knowing that we could make it our own was what the younger girls kind of did. And I see that across the nation. I see that in terms of being Banji and being unapologetically black. I see that in terms of leadership. I see that in terms of creativity and ballroom, and just, that we can make it our own and take our spaces back, and fight for the representation that we know we deserve. That's what kind of happened. But we just kind of all started together. We was sleeping on the floor all together, just being in the little queer fairy huddle. And then, the girls start blooming, into flowers.
Because I remember a time in my youth when I was transitioning with my friends, and it was really the difference in like now, where, now, of course, you see the visibility of some of the girls now, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? But back then, we were like a subculture of a subculture. We were the subculture of the queer community in
Mhm.
whole, of the gay community as a whole. And so, we were all kind of sharing resources. What doctors is be easy for you to go and get your prescriptions for your moms? Who's
Mhm.
the best beauty supply store to get your wigs from, who do the best nails, you like,
Okay.
who ain't gonna fucking misgender you, who the ones who gonna give you the
Mhm.
best customer service as a trans person. And so I remember having those kind of little huddles, and it wasn't always fun, but we all kind of shared resources and shared information so that we could kind of move forward in our transition. It wasn't always,
Mhm.
everybody wasn't always open, but in general,
Mhm.
it was kind of like, you get what I'm saying? If this girl
Mhm.
may be acting funny to you and not get the tea, but once she give the tea to this girl might tell you the tea because she cool with you. Or, you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Mhm.
that, where this girl may be acting funny, but if she tell anybody about some research, the laser lady, whoever the lady to do some good laser, honey, she might not tell you, but when this other girl goes, she might find out and she'll tell you. And it's kind of like
Mhm.
this kind of interconnection of resources and stuff that can make you advance. I remember that time when I was
Mhm.
younger.
It's just something that I always knew in my heart existed, that we was not just alone, and that we're not um as much of a minority as they try to make it sound like, with the we only 1% and 2%. But no, we are powerful. We are meant to be here. And they introduced me to the group. My gay male friends, they introduced me to the group, and then over the years, Rodney would become like my real gay dad, and honestly, a real father to me. Some even somewhat in ways more than my biological father. And it was just really, really transformative. Being in the space with older trans women, I say they taught me how to learn how to be smarter and safer than what they was able to do. And not to say it like that from a young perspective, but I think we all can it's just like working smarter, work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? But for trans girls, for the femme queens, you know what I mean? We need to be smarter and safer, about how we, handle our bodies, who we letting in our houses, who we dealing with, who we're um allow. Oh, that's what I want to get into, Diamond. Is the trade and men and the perceptions of trans women that we just all choose trade. I think that that's an anti-trans type of stance because baby, first of all these niggas be choosing. We get picked over here. We don't be just boy crazy or after men just for you know what I'm trying to say. Sometimes we do, but you know what I'm saying. Uh, sometimes we do, but you know what I mean. I think we just attract what we attract, and I think that yes, you can say there is a choice to deal with the men or to deal with trade, but I don't, as a trans woman, just be like, oh, let me go. I need a DL today. You know what I mean? That's not how it really work, and oftentimes they lie, they mislead us, they conceal whatever their real identities is, their real positions, as far as politics, as far as just how they even see us as women or see us as what I mean, LGBT people, so how they see LGBT people, how they see that in relation to themselves. But I would love to have that conversation too.
Let me
Just about the train, yeah.
let me Okay, so this is my initial thought. The dynamics of the world, the power, the dynamics of where we are in the world, I think that it puts us in a position where we are prey. I think it puts us in a
Mhm,
position for people, for men in
mhm,
particular, but I don't think it's just men. I think anybody that can benefit from us in any kind of way.
mhm.
Because we are this kind of
Right.
marginalized groups, this kind of marginalized group, this kind of I don't want to say this is not a word, but throwawayable demographic. They can just throw us
Disposable.
away. I
Mhm,
think I think it shows up in particular men. I'm gonna talk about
mhm,
other examples too, but in men, I think it
mhm,
shows up. It's like, oh, all of the rules about how I'm supposed to treat women. It doesn't mean that those rules stop them from treating women bad, but I think when it comes to trans women in particular, I think because we are considered these kind of sexual deviants or considered these kind of
mhm.
black
Taboo.
sheep, taboo,
Mhm,
it takes away whatever, even if it's a small monicum, whatever the social rules about treating women well and treating them nice, even on a surface level, they throw all of that shit away and can
mhm.
come to us and treat us in and use us for our
A
bodies, and
human
they
way.
can in a dehumanizing way that
Mhm,
they they can use us if they're having troubles in their life. They can come and try to live with us and mooch off of us and manipulate our vulnerability in that way. But I don't.
mhm.
I think we're talking about the trade and talking about dudes, but I think a lot of people are in those
Our
situations.
energy and our aura and
Yeah,
their attraction to it. And that's why we know trans people are looked at as being divine beings. And that is why these systems as well that's trying to oppress us haven't been able to oppress us or eradicate us. It's all tied together.
and also, and think about the girl who can't afford to go to the bomb ass beauty shop. She'll go to the trans girl who know how to do hair, befriend her
Mhm,
so she can get her hair done for free.
mhm,
The girl who don't the cis girl who don't have support from her family because she done had all of these babies out of wedlock. She can come to the trans girl
mhm,
and say, "Ooh, you can be my babysitter, or you can be a person that helped me out because
mhm,
I don't have anybody else that support me, and you can't
mhm.
judge me because you trans. So I'm not. So I don't have to worry about you looking down on me the way
Privilege.
out the
The
privilege."
privilege shows up.
And
Mhm.
so I can actually put you in a position where I can help you, well, you can help me, but there's a lot of situations that come up where when it's time for them to be on your corner, it's like, oh, I don't condone the lifestyle, but she cool. I don't
Mhm,
condone, but
mhm,
when they're using you as a resource, it's okay. It's okay to use you as a resource, but throw you away when they don't need you no more because the world already says that it's okay to throw you away. And for me,
mhm.
I see that not only in men, but I see it in a lot of people
I
who
do
have
too.
relationships with trans people where
I do too.
when they're in a position where they can throw you away, it's no remorse about it. They can just do it because it's the world. That's what the world is doing anyway.
And that's deep, and that speaks to burnout. It speaks to us being groomed into um submission, groomed into um uh catering to men, us
For
being
people,
groomed
just for the
into
love, just for the
for
connection,
love,
and
for
not just
acceptance,
romantic love,
acceptance.
acceptance and platonic love.
Mm-hmm.
The world is grooming us and putting us in a particular predicament to even the
Mm-hmm.
smallest monicum of care, or the small, or
Mm-hmm.
pretending to care, or the smallest, that one person in your vicinity that's even showing you some kind of love. You'll,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'll babysit your kids because I can come over here and get in drag at your house, or put
Mm-hmm.
makeup on without being judged, or you get what I'm saying. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that we're receiving, and we really receive so
Transactional.
little. It's transactional. We receive so
Mm-hmm.
little of it that even somebody giving us those little scraps in will suffice for us.
Mm-hmm. For us as Black trans women, I think that speaks to the endurance principle that they try to attach to Black women, that we just supposed to be able to take everything, handle every situation, be big mama,
Be the
cook,
mule
clean,
cap.
be a provider. I don't know no Black woman that's not they primary breadwinner and provider. You know what I mean? And that's the type of Black women that I've grown up around with
Captive
and
maternal. Remember we
seen,
talked
you
about that
know.
for Empower Her. Captive maternal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And um, I think that's a beautiful way to put it, captive maternal, and because it is, and it again leads us to that burnout, and I think what you're saying about it not just being men is so important because there's a lot of T for T conversations. There's a lot of different conversations that people haven't necessarily had as a collective or had in the mainstream that we're beginning to start to have in those relationships and that dialogue and everything. And my personal experience, I've had queer relationships. I've dated outside of just dating cis men. I've dated a trans man. I've dated a stud before. I've dated um a trans femme before and other thing, and I just explored because life and sex and gender is a spectrum. That's why, you know what I mean, not specifically highlighting those, but what that showed me was that the patriarchy is all the same, and that they do all see it and experience it in that same way when it comes specifically down to Black trans women being at the bottom of that totem pole.
Mm.
And I think to move forward and to heal and to have them type of conversations, we do have to address that. And we know for a fact that inside the Bush Queen community all over the world that they be hating on the girls. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, a cis woman try to clock you or try to, you know what I mean? Oh, she cool. Oh, this, that. You know what I mean? But when it's when you need something like you stated, or when it's just us one on one, it's a whole different energy. But when you're in front of your peers or in front of other cis people, it's a different energy. And again,
Or
I
a
found
man you like.
hello, hello, and then now everything that went crazy. Now once a man get involved, is jealousy. It's nothing. It's them. It's privilege. It's them not knowing themselves. It's um them being challenged in themselves, convicted in themselves about their own identities, and about being confronted with those nuances in their identities when they see us, just off of seeing us and just off of the visual interpretation of us, and perception of us. And we can't control that. That's mental acrobatics. We can't control how people are seeing us or passability um as we're going through life. We can't anticipate that. But
And
when somebody forcing it,
let
when
me
somebody forcing it to be disrespectful.
let me deepen that a little bit, because I know when
Hmm.
people hear the word jealousy, that can kind
Hmm.
of trigger
A
other
lot.
thoughts a lot in people, and so I especially I think I recently watched a episode of the Outlaws, T.S. Madison's podcast, and she
Hmm.
had Cherry on there, and
Hmm.
they kind of
I seen it
discuss
too. Hmm.
they discuss jealousy, and I think you that language can kind of throw people off because people will simplify it down to why would we be
Why
jealous
would
of
we be
y'all?
jealous of
Y'all and we
you?
the blueprint and da 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 da. I think what we talk about, of course, we're not talking about it as in like every single person is every
Hmm.
single cis woman or cis man, depending on if we talk about trans men, that every single person, their motivation is jealousy. What we're saying is that a lot of times people, just like a mama can be vulnerable and weak and traumatized so much that she can be jealous of her daughter, just like a mama can be jealous of the relationship between a daughter and her
That
father.
happened with trans women daughters too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there's ways that jealousy can creep up in ways that you can think is unnatural or that you can
Hmm.
think is not normal. And
Hmm.
it ain't just about our look. It ain't just about
Hmm.
sometimes it's about just the fact that we have the freedom to buck up against the system, buck up against the gender binary, or buck up against what these are the rules that the world says that we should follow, and we totally go against it. And
Hmm.
you are sitting in your life
Hmm.
not going against shit what your mama said,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
something
What the
stupid
church said,
what the church
what.
said, all that. And so I think
Hmm.
we gotta it's deeper and we can't
Hmm.
don't try to dismiss it as just because you are not jealous of trans
Hmm.
women. We're
Hmm.
talking about in general on and how some specific people how that jealousy can come up in
Hmm.
in us. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Sometimes
Hmm.
because we are more vulnerable
Hmm.
in regards to how the world can throw us away and the world can see us as something negative
Hmm.
and it be acceptable that we can be attacked.
Hmm.
Sometimes they can be bullies and like, how
Hmm.
dare you be pretty? How dare you be confident? How dare you be unapologetically yourself and think that me and the trauma that I got going on isn't going to allow me to kind of stomp you and try to snuff that out when it comes into you. And I think sometimes people don't understand that some people, they only attack us because of their own personal insecurity. Period.
Hmm.
It's like, oh,
Hmm. And
you
that's
get them.
I think that's more it is insecurity than the word jealousy. The jealousy and the insecure is more of a insecurity in that is not the individual, like you said, it's not the individual or the individual situation. It's that the privilege is showing up as this jealousy or insecurity because of that disposableness and that subhuman dehumanization that, oh, how can it be men that gravitate to you? How come you're getting job opportunities? How come you have good energy and friends, and why are you popular when you're trans? Why do people respect you? Why do people gender you properly but don't gender, other trans people properly, or whatever? Is that, oh, that's just passability. That's just being palatable. No, it's respect. You know what I mean? And it come down to respect. And I be posting this all the time, and I be saying this all the time, like stuff that be in the news, whatever it is could trigger me to say this, but I've said this on social media multiple times. Why do I have to explain basic human respect to some grown people? And of course, respect look different, and even regionally, coastally, certain things and actions and expressions can look different. But at the end of the day, we should have some type of decorum and human respect for each other. At the end of the day, and of course, that doesn't mean anything like, baby, if you cross it, we gonna cross it. You know what I mean? But we should have that, and I think that the privilege and the patriarchy is so ingrained into them and fitting into those boxes and those stereotypes. That's why we have trade and DL, is because they're so busy trying to fit into a stereotype in a box, that doesn't really exist in 2025. Now, maybe in 1980 or the 60s or the whatever, like maybe back in the days, these boxes and these social structures really existed, but y'all need to be for real. In 2025, baby, all you gotta do is log on to Twitter and you're gonna see some of every type of thing up under God's green earth, up under the sun. So you cannot pretend no more in 2025 that you've never had this conversation, that you've never been introduced to nothing, that you ain't never messed with the girls, messed with the dolls, or you know what I mean?
Or that you're alone, or that you
Yeah.
yeah, it's tons of
Half of the men, the boys, they sex workers. Like, you have to be for real. What is wrong with just standing in your truth, like Gen Z and like younger people have been a part of doing? Like, what is wrong with that? I think that we need, to do that in ways that are healthy and is not just Twitter and finding everything on Twitter. You know what I mean? But I do think that we all are a part of changing that narrative and changing it so that people can just live in their truth. But when we talk about visibility, again, with the Twitter and the TikToks and the gay people and the men and the all this and the porn, is we get into a place where the dolls are being left behind in invisibility, and it's all, being again put into things that maybe is not the most healthy things for the overall community, or that is it's more so censoring gay men and still not uplifting us in the ways we need to be uplifted. And we are very vulnerable. And like I said, mental health, like, I've been struggling with my mental health for 6 years. Yes, we are very blessed. Yes, we can hustle and grind till we drop, until we're burnt out. But I've been struggling. And, I am very blessed and do have certain privileges, although I would not consider myself to be a privilege, But the work and the different opportunities we've had does afford us some of that, or introduce us to some of that. And I think that God allow us as advocates in this movement at this time, as trans women and trans leaders, we got to have those once in a lifetime experiences, doing the retreat to Hawaii, doing these different things with substantial funding, so that we would know how to meet this moment that we're in politically, and know how to again change narratives, know how to get back to grassroots and community building and organizing in ways that is not just dependent on institutions and dependent on these systems that are failing. And I think that God positions us and spreads us out like little lightning bugs everywhere, all over the world, to inspire people to be special. You know what I mean? We think that that's bad, that we're othered and that we're different and that we're special in a negative way, but God wanted us to be special. And I believe that in my heart. And he intended for us to have those experiences, and again, to be prepared to meet this moment. And these people, child, it come back to the patriarchy in these people. These people, they don't even have no plan. They are completely ignorant and still in denial about the things that we are seeing. Following this Charlie Kirk assassination, following the FBI, the anti-trans legislation, the FBI naming us domestic threats and terrorists and things, all the stuff going on in Texas. You're in Texas, you know what I mean? Like, we're very concerned, and we have to get ourselves mentally in a place to be able to even organize and push back, and to work with each other, and to heal, and to do those things too.
Gimme euphoria, more than peace of mind. It's the joy and space to change the tide. Gimme euphoria, more than peace of mind. It's the joy and space to change the tide. Gimme you. It's a feeling and a high.
what has brought you gender euphoria this week?
Um,
Well, not gender euphoria, any kind of euphoria, joy and love and laughter.
um, I am planning a big Sea Door celebration here in Milwaukee, so that has been taking up my energy and my mind. But it is also bringing me joy and something I've worked towards for a long time. But girl bought me some hair and some nails. You know, don't nothing do it for me than some nails and some 40,
Nasty, period. Let me see. Let me see.
don't nothing do it for me like some nails and a good little 42 inch. You know, a little 42. You know, nothing do it for me like that. The swing of the hair, like when it's crispy and it just swing and you know, blows in the wind. Um, but this week I wasn't as bad as I thought I was gonna be in my math class that I've been waiting and scared of since I started back school. So, you know, them things just being affirmed in the work feels good. Seeing all the love for Miss Major. I know Dominique. I want to make a video. I know Dominique, inspired a lot of people to make videos. Um, for Miss Major. And I want to say this on here. Even if I don't make no another video, I'm gonna say it on here. Miss Major lived in Wisconsin, as well. When she was a young person, when she was in middle school, she was sent here from Chicago, where she was originally from. Well, Illinois, where she's originally from, and not necessarily live in Milwaukee. I don't think necessarily. I think she lived in Racine, but lived in Wisconsin, and they forced her to have conversion therapy here. And so I've gotten to meet Ms. Major 3 times. The first time at BTAC in 2023, and then at the Gender Liberation March, and then at the T-Door 25th anniversary last year in Boston. Um, and so just to even sit in her presence was really amazing. When I asked her about living in Wisconsin, she was like, "Child, don't make me remember that far back." But you know, just for me to be able to tell her that we appreciate her, and like I said, she experienced conversion therapy here in Wisconsin, and today in 2025, multiple counties, multiple cities in Wisconsin, including Milwaukee, has banned conversion therapy. And we have those connections. We have that connection to Miss Major, to Marsha P. Johnson, to um
Arming.
Stormy, to Josie Carter, who is a Milwaukee icon. We have the Black Knight Brawl here in Milwaukee, similar to Stonewall. And you know, again, God put us here for this time that we're in. And to meet this moment, just like he put our ancestors in the times that they lived through and survived through, to survive and to do just that. And seeing my community here in Milwaukee coming together in different ways, things definitely me some joy. And just like I said, going back to school, that's really been the biggest thing for me, was going back to school, really help my mental health, and give me something to look forward to, and to move forward to, and being able to see your progress and not just feeling like you fighting these giant systems that are out to get us, um and being able to see you and talk to you too. And I miss
What?
you.
Oh, I've been like really cooking this week. So I cooked some neck bones and pinto beans.
Okay.
And
Yes.
that is what brought me joy this week. I cooked some neck
Okay.
bones and pinto beans, and it came out so good and delicious. And what's crazy,
We love some soul food, baby.
period. What's crazy is I cooked this big ass fucking pot, and it's only me.
Send me some in the mail, girl. Freeze it and send it to me in the mail, girl.
Overnight in
Give
the
me a
mail.
little container in the mail,
I'm
girl.
like, oh God,
It's
damn.
the season for a good little pot of greens, a good little pot of beans, a little, it's the season, because it's gonna start changing.
Period. So
The
that's what
weather.
brought me euphoria this week. Just cooking
Mhm.
some pinto beans and some neck bones, and they came out really, really delicious. So, Elle, I want to thank you for joining me and being a part of this conversation. You are just one of my favorite people. You're so sweet, you're so nice. You always open, you always real, you just always bring an energy that turn up. I remember I took this picture of you on the horse when we were doing
Mm-hmm.
horse ride on BPAC. I was like, it's one of my favorite memories of BPAC. I have tons of years of
Mm-hmm.
memories with BTAC, but that was one of my favorite moments. But you just was so happy on the horse, and it just was such a dope moment. I was like, yes, why?
Yes, no, it was beautiful. And then pictures you took that day of everybody, like everybody looked at really majestic and powerful and beautiful. Like my favorite one that you took was the one of Swan. Like that was iconic, and but it was beautiful and it was some people first time. This past year when we did it again, I took some people, I went with a group of people on their first time again. And that was really dope, and that was the first time we had them for that.
Yeah.
Had the horses for that. So, and we've done some amazing things, and our BTAC family. I'ma say it. We miss you and we love you, and it's all of us. It ain't. It's just all of us, and and yeah, and
Let the people know where they can find you.
yes, you can find me at Elle Halo on mostly everything. All the platforms. I do have my website. I've been working a lot this past summer updating my website www dot trance by lhalo.com. And you can support my work and find more out about me there in Milwaukee for Tidor. And yes, and I'm really excited about where we are, and the it is a lot of forces against us and turmoil against us, but it's also a lot of opportunity. It's a lot of space to be creative. It's a lot of space to get engaged with action, in action, and healing. And so I'm excited for that, and I'm very grateful. Again, Marsha's Play is a iconic platform. Diamond, you have built an iconic platform, and I love you, and you deserve your flowers as well. Thank you for helping a little brown girl trying to make it out the hood, baby.
I love that. I
And
love
I
it.
love you so much.
Let us know what y'all think. Hit us up. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to y'all next week. Bye bye.
Thank you, Diamond. I love you, girl. Thank you.
The best way to support is to engage with the content. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Another way to support, if you got a couple of dollars, become a patron. And if you can't do any of that, you can at least follow us on social media, where you'll get our random hot takes and just us sharing all the people and things that we love that is black, trans, queer, centered. Yeah, come check us out.